competitive. We get after it. We don't always do it right, but I like the competitive nature. And for me, we got strength in numbers, and that always helps. The competition aspect, because when you got to look over your shoulder every day, then you got to come in here and you got to bring it every day. So I like that part of it. We're getting some new guys acclimated, and it's taking some time to build that chemistry. But the guys are getting after it for the most part, and that's what I'm happy about.
This season, how much of a premium are you putting on strength and conditioning as you go into the season?
Well, I said we look like a varsity team now, because we had so many young guys that was fresh out of high school and really didn't quite have that college body. And now when I look at the guys now, we look mature. We look like big boys now, and it's a process that you have to go through. Unfortunately, for me, because we have so many young guys playing meaningful roles for us. But they responded, and now they're getting their big boy bodies, and they got a little bit more experience, and we'll see where it takes them.
Some of Lepore and Jamil could potentially give you what you've seen from them so far.
They've been like battering rams down there under the basket, just banging and fighting with each other, and both of them give us I'm not gonna say a unique dynamic, but one is above the rim and athletic, and one is more of a plotter back to the basket, but also can face up. So you got, as they say in boxing, you got contrasting styles, and both of those guys can help us out.
Aaron, 3 years ago when you drew up, okay, this is how I want it to look eventually, structure, roster. Is it there or close to there? How close?
Yeah, it's very close. I think if you look at the pieces now, we got inside play, interior play, we got perimeter play, scoring. But the one thing I talk to all of these guys about, we got size, athleticism, physicality. But the one thing I talk to all of these guys about is the teams that win are the teams that defend. And I thought we took a step in that, in doing so last year with all of the obstacles that we had to face last year. We still were able to fight and finish in the top half of the conference. And again, it's always been my goal is to be at the top of the conference. And so I think, with our experience and riding our defense, I think we can be right there in the conversation.
Can these guys kind of feel that, the heightened expectations this year? Is that something you've seen them embrace this all season?
No, I hope individually they feel that way. It's always speculation when you come into a season as to what a team could potentially be or look like. And I've never been an on-paper sort of guy. I like to see it all unfold. Once you get out there and you start playing against other teams and other players and coaching against other coaches, that's when you know what you got. Again, my goal is, and as it always been, is to be in the top half of that American Conference and position ourselves to be an NCAA tournament team.
Aaron, Zach's pulling some muscles of those shoulders. How excited are you about those two guys?
Good. I mean, those are probably two of the top competitors we have. Jalil's very comfortable with who he is. I wasn't quite sure if he was that last year, just still trying to figure out who he was as a player. And he embraces that role of defender. He got good size, he got good lateral movement. He's a physical kid, and I feel really good about putting him on, other teams' best perimeter players, and even some of the players that play around the basket.
I know last season you had to kind of ease him into things, get him in basketball shape. Now that you had a full off season with him, what are you looking for him this year?
To be a physical presence, doing a really good job of just hitting people, and that's what this game is about. A lot of people who don't play basketball don't realize how physical a game it is. And, I want to be able to go hat to hat, nose to nose with a lot of these teams, especially the better teams that we have to face. They're physically, imposing, and that's what I want to be. I want to be in great shape, and I want to be a physical team.
How comfortable sort of does Caliph look? And I wonder, do you see anything in his head or in your head when you're, watching him get in the mix of people?
I just want him to slow down. He wants it right away. And just to get him to slow himself down, he's competitive and he wants to do well. He's trying to hit it out of the park with every swing. and hit the, swinging for the fences. And I just wanted to slow down and start to understand and read the game. You're not going to be able to beat everybody in a foot race all the time. A lot of basketball is between the ears, and it's really what I'm trying to get him to understand and become. And once he starts to understand that better, he'll be a force out there.
A lot of guys kind of took an expanded role with him down last year. How do you guys kind of figure out how to play together again back in the mix?
That's what the summers are for. That's what, when we start practicing now and building that team chemistry, and everybody's really understanding their role and where they fit in at, and it's my job to identify that for them. So for the most part, they've been accepting of it. We haven't played any games yet, so they've been accepting of their roles, and as I said to them, their roles start small, and as they master those smaller roles, now their roles start to expand a little bit more.
What have you seen from Taj so far? Will he play this year, or is he a guy that you might redshirt?
We talked about it. We got some things we have to work out, but just his activities, just an active guy, and so you always can use that. Active. He crashes the glass on both ends of the floor. I love his energy. I love his activity, and it's going to come into play for us at some point.
How about Shane? What have you seen from him?
Shane has a common effect. I think that's one of his strengths, his demeanor, his poise. And, sometimes I got to grab his arm or his wrist to see if he got a pulse. The way he's moving around and walking around, but he's a cool customer, and it's how he is. And when you got a bunch of high energy guys, it's not the worst thing in the world to have a guy that can bring a common effect to you.
You have so many sophomores. I mean, it makes you think you could be really good this year and great the next two. But Caleb could leave every year. There's guys that might go into the portal. Can you still kind of coach and prepare long term like that, or is it just year to year kind of in college basketball?
Day to day. I'm not looking beyond today. Whatever those kids, if you want to be here, I've been saying this. If you want to be here, we'll have you. If not, you want to go somewhere else, so be it. I can't worry about these kids' next destination. I can't control that, especially in this evolving world of college basketball. If these guys want to be here, they want to be at Temple Isle, we'll have you. I think myself, along with my staff, we do a wonderful job of pouring into these kids, not just with basketball, but outside of basketball. So that's what I concern myself with. I can't control what these kids are thinking, and even what some of these outside influences are telling them.
You had Eddie back recently. What was it like to have him back, and what was kind of like his message to the team? What did he tell you?
He just said enjoy the ride, and he's really impressed with what he's seeing around here. Just our facility.
He's been back, right?
Yeah. He's been to Philly, but he hasn't, been here. He's been impressed with I said, man, look at what these kids got. I said, compared to, what we had when we played. And I said, this is standard. This is every Division I university pretty much have these setups now. But he enjoyed watching the guys play, and he just told them to enjoy it and embrace the brotherhood of basketball. I mean, we met each other in college, and we're brothers, and still today. So that's important. It's something that I try to get these guys to understand is when you care about the guy to the left of you or right of you, then you'll do anything for him to help him be successful.
Caleb has been kind of public about the fact that he expects this to be his last season. Is that a conversation that you've had with him about how he goes about this year, if that's his plan, and that kind of thing?
Totally up to him. But my conversation with him is let's focus on being a Temple student athlete at this particular time. Let's not put the cart ahead of the horse, and be the best version of yourself while you're here.
How long your time hit the portal? What's that doing for Hasir and his elevated role this season?
Well, he showed us last year what he's capable of doing with extended minutes. So his job will be to defend, run, and manage the team. I went over to him, at the end of practice today. When I looked at the stat sheet, he had 4 turnovers. I said, you can't win games like that with you having 4 turnovers. So that's his job, defend and manage the team. I don't know if he looks at it as pressure I certainly don't look at it as pressure. I look at him as being one of our leaders and expect him to excel in his expanded role.
How has Nick sort of responded to, a bunch of new bigs that he's working with?
Happy. Nick played a huge role in a lot of our wins last year where we could use him at the 5 position, where he has his disadvantages at physicality, strength. We had our advantages with him being out at the 5 for us, offensively. So he helped us in so many ways last year playing that position. And as the year go on, we're probably going to have to use him some more at that position. So you never know.
What have you seen in Jalil's offensive development from last year?
Just trying to get him to slow down and take care of the ball. Playing on the floor, a lot of times he get off his feet and just start firing passes. But I want him to start taking advantage of his size. I want him to start taking advantage of getting in there and finishing. Those are the things that we worked on with him throughout the summer. It's just working on playing with his back to the basket, working on finishing at the rim, working on free throws, all of those sort of things I think he can really be good at and excel at.
Going back to Khalif's injury last year, I know that he was sidelined for most of the season. How does it feel with him being back on the team and practicing and preparing for the season?
Great. He's an all-conference player. We lost an all-conference player last year. He was averaging 20 points, probably shooting as well as anybody in the country from the field and from the three-point line. So as a coach, you always can use that. So I'm looking forward to, having him back out there. And again, we're building that team's chemistry. And, a lot of the guys that was out on the floor with us last year is going to just, have to learn how to read and feed off of those guys.
And when you mentioned how college ball is changing, I don't know how much you can comment on this new tough fun thing that's going around. This team focused on your program. How do you feel about that and how that might help you retain some talent or touch some guys?
I think it's great. I don't want to really go into depth about it. I think it's great. Again, it's the evolving game of basketball. Sitting up here, being in the practice facility, having all this stuff that we have out here compared to, what we had in McGonigal Hall. It's evolving. So, as best as you can, you want to try to keep up. Not necessarily meaning we got to do what everybody else is doing, but you got to find, different ways to just, try to creative ways, as I like to call it, of keeping up with some of your competitors.
What have you seen that
Deuce Rogers and how that came together and what you've seen from him so far?
He's learning. A lot of it is going really fast for him right now, but he'll be fine. He's getting the opportunity to learn from a lot of these guys now, and I think it'll help him as time go on. And, some of the things that he can't figure out, I said just make up for it with effort. Just run the floor, crash the glass, talk, do all those things. And I think, a lot like Zach was, a lot like Asir was. It's sort of the same situation where we weren't really expecting those guys to give us significant minutes. And you start going along and getting through the season, and those guys have big roles for us. So who knows, how things play out, but we got to keep those guys ready.
Okay, thanks, Coach. We got to get players.
All right, guys.